Hi everyone, Salim Ismail here. Super excited. We are here with Naveen. You were part of Novartis and you implemented EXO into the business services unit at Novartis.
That's right. Yeah.
Give us a little bit first about your background and a little bit about your career, and then would love to hear more about how you've implemented EXO.
Fantastic. So, hello everybody. This is Naveen Gullapalli. I've been fondly known as the founder of NBSX, which is Novartis Business Services X, an EXO organization for Novartis. We founded and ran this for 2 years. I've been based in India at Novartis, where we have one of the largest operations, a capability center for Novartis that spans a lot of functional activities across the board, including technology, etc. So it was the perfect place for us to launch this. And of course, this was a global organization with teams all around the world and innovator ecosystem all around the world. It's a truly global enterprise that was NBSX. And I've spent the last 20 years building and delivering capabilities out of India. Originally from Hyderabad, Mashali family, city of biryanis, chartered accountant, and IT professional after that, and then finance and shared services transformation. So that's my career.
Running this innovation unit in shared services are not known for delivering innovation, right? If you're handling payroll, you just want payroll to happen. You don't want disruptive innovation in payroll. So the mindset tends to be quite conservative in business services units. How do you navigate the tension between those?
Yeah, I think that was the interesting aspect is we do have a lot of opportunity in business services. And business services at Novartis spans everything from launching a product, all the services that are necessary for a marketing, for a marketeer, for a salesperson, to a medical professional, to of course the usual G&A functions of finance, HR, payroll, etc. But if you just reflect on the amount of work that goes on, most of the large companies have a lot of resources assigned to doing manual transactional processing work. These are control functions. And then yet you hear news stories of disrupted business models. We've seen travel disrupted. Then we've seen, for example, some companies embrace a new travel approach based on what one of the kind of leading tech disruptor might be doing. For example, reward a traveler for saving carbon footprint, right?
Right.
Um, Etc. Completely do away with the travel and expense function and allocate cash to people. So some disruptive ideas. So it's changed the world. And on the other hand, you have an army of people in our previous companies and large companies sitting and checking every expense claim. There's just so much of human resource that is stuck in doing fairly inefficient activity, which is why I think business services is a huge opportunity for
Yeah.
disruption, for automation and transformation, as well as, and this is the stuff, the gunk that clogs the company, right? So once you have all of this
Absolutely.
moving fast, it'll help the company. I visualize the large company as a supertanker, very stable. You can get storms, wavy oceans, no problem. Supertankers, they break icebergs, etc. So, what we found is that look, this is great, but we cannot therefore innovate and be agile and embrace disruptive models if we operate in the same fashion as a supertanker. So, what we built is actually a speedboat that is loosely tethered to the supertanker that can go and explore places, go to islands and meet people and find a startup and do a POC if it works, etc., and bring
And
it back. So that's how X came about.
and let's talk about the EXO model. How much of that did you implement into NBSX? And was there a particular sequence, or were there some that were easier to implement than others?
I think we were inspired by the EXO model work that you've done at Procter and Gamble. And some of the team that worked on in that organization came on to advise us. And I think we
Oh,
applied some practical realities of large companies in terms of how we tackle things, etc. The sequence, we set it up completely like a startup, and we were very clear that the learnings from this experiment are not just about technology innovations that we can introduce in a quick and easy manner, hopefully, into the company, but
hmm.
also the ways of working. And I think so, I would say it's by and large the entire EXO model that we tried to implement.
Wow.
We started with a vision of being organization that drives disruptive change and ways of working into the organization, into the company. We instilled a whole set of new values that you talk about, right? So it's okay to fail, speed is more important, a clear definition of what we're trying to solve, a reason to believe, etc. So we built a set of values which are very different to normal enterprise values that we would have. I think these are more in line with startup values of no organizational boundaries, everybody works together kind of thing.
Right.
Operating model, we got in, and what was fundamental for us is to have air cover right from the top. So we had head of our division engaging with us on a fortnightly basis, if not a weekly basis, understanding the programs we're trying to drive. We're bringing in a lot of external insights and knowledge into the organization. So that benefited that leadership team as well. And then we built this team with some of our brightest talent who are in the extended leadership team, who have disruptive thinking, are open to change and thinking. So business services at Novartis has 6 different functions. You had finance, you had HR, you had procurement, etc. From each function, we got 2 super talent. One at a senior level, we call them disruptor. And so we built a team of full-time disruptors whose only job was to think about how can you disrupt your operations by bringing in external innovation. And when you're disrupting, you're really solving the biggest problem. So that was a starting point for us. So we sat down with the leadership team and said, hey, what are your biggest problems that your current programs are not addressing? And so we took those big, hairy targets with a team of internal super talent. We also brought a team of external partners who contributed resource to us. So this is where we took our top 10 partner organizations, all IT service firms or consulting firms. They were all trying to also play in the same area, try to
That's
solve the same
wonderful because
problem.
now you get external perspective and diversity of thought into it.
Correct. And then we get a team that is not only across organizational boundaries, but it's across organizations. And a lot of times we had, say, EY and Accenture in the same room contributing so they were even competitors. And of
Yeah.
course, you had tech service companies, etc. So we had this team of about 25 associates, about 12 internal, 12 external, and now we have a startup team. And then we basically, this is the hardest part of innovation, which I'm not sure many people understand, is that it takes a lot of execution discipline. Innovation is not all cool, fancy games. Once you have the ideation, even through ideation, problem statement, reason to believe, all of that needs structure, needs thinking, and needs clarity and measurements for this to succeed. So we built that engine within this X organization. So we had an X that had a clear vision, set of startup values, air cover, super talent, internal, external, and then of course execute.
Now, you're doing this in a traditionally very conservative business environment because, as I said earlier, the guy who's running payroll does not want disruptive innovation. How did you combat the natural resistance or the immune system response in the company?
Yeah, I think one is we needed alignment with the strategy of the group and the division and the function, right? So we needed 100% alignment of what we're trying to achieve at a strategic level. And then the sponsorship from, as you say in your book, this change, it's a fast moving change, it's a big change, and it needs the leadership, air cover, and sponsorship to run through the natural change resistance that would come because
Yeah.
those organizations, they run multiple programs. You would do an ERP upgrade over 3 years. Now you don't want 5, 10 different plug-in solutions that are disrupting that entire chain of change that is happening there. But
Right.
we had to really go in with the case for disruption and the fact that this is actually a risk averse method of disrupting as opposed to stopping your program. So because we do run the X pilots in a parallel environment that allows us to really experiment and learn before we take a risk, and you can still keep running your 3 year upgrade program while we are running multiple solutions.
So you ran a lot of experiments.
We ran a portfolio of about 30 projects, fully knowing that 5 or 8 might succeed. But that was part of the game is to really take every meaningful opportunity and explore it.
Okay. What would you say to people that feel that their unit or division or company stuck and they're not innovating? What advice would you give them?
I feel like one is that it takes fearless leadership to bring in disruptive change, and leaders who are not about themselves but about bigger outcomes. So, I mean, we had ambition of about 500 million NPV per year. Just on year one, we achieved 300 million,
Wow.
which was 200 more than what we believed, really. So
Yeah.
it's just setting up with, and there is, of course, this is when it involves experimentation on disruptive change. We would expect maybe 3 out of 10 to go through. So we delivered significant financial benefit. We bought in new solutions that otherwise didn't exist. And some of the companies that we worked with, and these were AI companies even 3 to 4 years back, around a company called MoveWorks, a company called Eightfold. We worked with companies around content generation, elimination of duplicate invoices. This is paid back much more now, and even at more than 200 million a year for 5 years, that paid back a lot of savings for the company actually. So these
Huge.
are huge numbers that earlier there were no solutions. It was just
Yeah.
manual, or it was just how the cost of doing business kind of thing. So it's really surprising to see that we've cracked the challenge that what startups have, because a lot of times when we worked with startups, we found that they found very frustrating to work with large
Of
companies.
course. Yeah.
They take up a lot of time. Large companies, they would throw a lot of requirements that need a lot of investment of resource from their side, and then the whole process consumes a year or two to get on board.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is to have an expressway for these companies to actually work with us and get into production and evolve their product as well. So some of the companies that we work with, they had a pretty good idea and a product on a one dimension, for example. Working with Novartis, they developed it into 5, 6 dimensions. Novartis was their first biggest client. MoveWorks is an example that scaled from an IT services to working with us, HR services,
Hmm.
procurement service, multiple services, and eventually it now has a huge valuation and it's almost regarded one of the leading companies in this space. So A, we help them solve bigger problems by working with larger companies. And two, I think we also help their product that can really scale.
Yeah.
But the beauty of having it driven from an Indian capability is we have a demographic that is very suitable to this kind of innovation, disruptive innovation. Our average age here is about 28. We have a demographic that is also tech native and
Yeah.
soon becoming AI native in the way they work and way they live their life. So you do have a combination of functional skills, great atmosphere, demographics, and technology skills. So I think it's a perfect environment. And of course, this is at Novartis, it's Novartis Global out of India. And at Amgen, it's Amgen Global out of India. So it's why the global companies are operating here, because to harness this kind of talent. So I, I think so. Therefore, this is broadly applicable across the board.
Any last comments that you have in terms of how, like, for example, you'd probably recommend the EXO model, right, to other companies?
100% recommend the EXO model because you're, to your point, developing leadership and leadership capacity,
Yeah.
but also finding a safe way to embrace disruption rather than be left behind with all the change that's taking place. Now we applied it in operational areas, and there's no reason why. Actually, it's even more powerful in the core of business areas too, like in research, like in your
Yeah.
fundamental business areas, right?
One of the outcomes we've seen when we do these 10-week sprints like we did with Procter & Gamble, which we've now done like 70 times, is retention of their top performers goes up 80%. It's kind of like a mind-blowing statistic because the company is much more agile and people are having a lot more fun because they can get more done. They're not stuck navigating the bureaucracy all the time. And I have to hand it to you, delivering this type of metabolism change in shared services is no small feat. So huge congrats.
Thank you, Salim, and thank you for conceiving this model. And I think certainly the team that worked with on this, now we've moved on to different roles in different companies, but we're much greater friends than before because we rolled up our sleeves and sat down in a single room trying to solve and crack problems and support each other. So that's
Yeah.
the other element is it builds a great set of relationships too, actually.
Awesome. Good stuff. If there's any way we can help in what you're doing now, let us know, and then we'll keep in touch. And all the best as you implement this model into other places.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and a lovely conversation.